Hi, how's everyone out there doing? This is Amy Hamilton, author of The Project Manager, Life is a Project, as well as The Consummate Communicator, Character Traits of True Professionals. This is our marathon monthly session, 24 authors in 12 hours, January 20th, Inauguration Day edition. And I am super excited to be here with Jenifer Stewart. And Jenifer, you are coming to us from Alaska. I'm going to ask you the typical question we ask from the 40 lower states. What's the temperature in Alaska right now?
It's right around 28 degrees.
So that's 28 degrees Fahrenheit in the US. So that's below 0 Celsius.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's cold. That's like really cold. And and Jenifer, what time is it there for you right now?
It is 10:30 a.m.
And I know that you had to make a lot of accommodations to be on the show because our hours just have not synced up. And I am so excited to have you here on the show today. And
very excited to be here.
I love that people I have people from books about finances and self-help to, I've had, mysteries. We just had a science fiction author on, so that's pretty exciting. And I looked at your books, and when I first looked at your books, I was like, this is so interesting. And so I'm going to bring up the first series I want to talk. You have 2 books about the Wolf series, and I would love to hear kind of what inspired you to write those, and how did you end up in this very, very kind of, fun fantasy genre?
I was a bit inspired by my own high school experience. I was the new girl in town and had a very normal experience with a boy that I went to school with, and it was absolutely the time of my life. He's one of the best people I've ever met. And I just started thinking, everybody can relate to that. And what would happen if that boy turned into a werewolf? And how much craziness can I shove into that?
Everybody just thinks their boyfriend's going to turn into a werewolf in high school.
Yeah, so they kind of had to navigate that and deal with the fact that he was turned into a werewolf by a particularly vicious pack of werewolves. And so she ends up facing serial killers and all sorts of stuff. And this is the cover for it. From Where the Moon Howls is the first book. And things get very violent. They get very twisty, turny, lots of factors in it. And in the second book, there's lots of aftermath that has to be dealt with 8 years later. And I don't want to give away too much about the second book.
Jenifer, for this genre, what is the age-appropriate audience, do you think? So if our audience is considering this, is this like a Twilight, it's appropriate for teenage girls, or is this more of an adult book?
I would say if a teenager is going to read this, I hope she's at least 16 years old, or he 16 years old, simply because there is a lot of violence and inappropriate language. There are teenagers doing things they should not necessarily be doing. So I would not recommend this for younger teenagers at all, no.
Great. And so that's just really important for the parents out there. This is definitely a bit more graphic, a bit more adult, maybe even wait till the kid, your young person. I know they don't like to be called kids after 18, but but definitely wait a little bit, but something that you might be interested in.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is going to be a trilogy or just a 2-book series, and you stop there?
I actually have started writing a 3rd book, and the first one is From Where the Moon Howls. The second one is From Where the Moon Shines, and the third one is going to be From Where the Moon Rises. So keep an eye out for that. These will also, yes, ma'am. And there's probably going to be a 4th book as well, but it's going to be a prequel following the life of the serial killer himself. So I'm very excited to write that. And there will be a free promotion on both of these books soon for 48 hours each. Not quite sure when, but keep your eye out for that.
Great. If you could add it into the comments on this post later on in both Facebook, and I can put it out on the YouTube side, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
And we'll make sure we get that out to the audience that's going to be watching this later. I'm very excited to have you in the wolf genre. I mean, with Twilight, I was a big fan back in the day of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Me too. Very big fan of that one.
So, so those have been really popular. But then you decided to write a book that has nothing to do with the Wolf series. And do you want to talk about that book a little? Because I definitely saw that, and I was like, this seems kind of like a Greek god, fan kind of, fanfic kind of book. And I just thought this is a very, very like clever concept.
Yeah, I really like writing from the perspective of somebody who thinks their life is totally normal and then having it flipped upside down. I just like to see what all I can throw at them. And I'm glad you mentioned Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because I grew up on that. It's where my obsession with vampires and werewolves started. And I wanted to write a book just about werewolves. And then I decided I wanted to write a book about vampires. And this is the cover for it. I design all of my covers myself. And I decided
stop right there. You just glossed over. You do all your own artwork?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
That artwork is absolutely beautiful. Oh my gosh. You are very, very talented. Okay, now you can.
So with this one, I was like, I want to write about vampires. And then I decided, I kind of want to write about Greek mythology. I'm very fascinated with all of that. And again, grew up on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So fans of Buffy and Supernatural will catch lots of references in all of my books. I love to reference things. And with this one, it is a girl who thinks she's been kidnapped, but she finds out she's actually going through a sort of metamorphosis, because it turns out that she's not human at all. She is actually the goddess of vampires, has to go to Olympus to train to gain her full power. And she gets there just in time to find out that everybody's about to erupt into war. And not only is she somebody she never thought would even exist, but there are already people that are forming a faction for her, and many factions forming against her. And she gets caught in the middle of Apollo, the Titan Prometheus, and has to go head to head with Hades himself. And Zeus is not her biggest fan. So she has quite a lot piled up against her. And this book was particularly fun to write. And I really took my time with it, because I just studied a lot of mythology and put a lot of thought into the twists and turns that I wanted to take. So it's really fun, because she's got memories of the original goddess of vampires. And so I like to do flashbacks. So it takes place in modern day, but you do see a lot of the ancient world. And I had a lot of fun with that.
Wow, that is truly just incredible. How did you come up with this concept? Or was it just you watch these shows and then you did your writing and it just kind of wrote itself?
With this one, I didn't really take a lot of inspiration from any shows or anything. And I go out of my way to make sure I don't read anything while I'm writing. And I write so much these days, I haven't read a book in a while. So with this one, I just kind of started, and it really did just pour itself out onto the pages. It was so much fun. So much fun.
Wow. I mean, that's just incredible, the diversity with which you write, and the fact that you have two very different genres. So, do you plan on any follow-on books on this series, or is this a standalone book?
At the moment, I don't have any plans to write more for it, but I did leave it on a bit of a cliffhanger. So if in the future, if I want to go back to it, it would be very easy to do so.
Great. And also for our audience, what kind of age group do you think you're geared for in this book? Is it still like a kind of a younger adult, or would this be more appropriate for like younger teens as well?
I'd say Love and Betrayal, The Wars of Olympus is probably definitely an adult book. There's a lot of violence, a lot of sex, and just nothing age appropriate for anybody really under the age of about 17 or 18.
Lots of violence, lots of sex. So yeah, definitely don't let that one out to the kids, people. So just want
and the same for the second of my series. That one, even less recommended for children. That one's a bit more graphic than either of my other books, and it's fun to grow into more adult things as I get older, because from Where the Moon Howls, I started writing that when I was in my early 20s, and so I'm just pushing myself as far as I can out of my comfortability zone to keep people really on the edge of their seat.
Now that's terrific. So, doing your writing, have you had to do a lot of research for these books, or do you find that they just kind of flow? Because I know for your first book, for your Olympus, you said that you just wanted it to flow.
Yeah, that one flowed a lot. I also did a lot of research on Greek mythology. But for my wolf series, I very much made the wolves my own. There are factors in there about them that I doubt people will find anywhere else with werewolves. I really just wrote my own lore on that, and I had a lot of fun with that.
No, that sounds very intriguing. So it sounds like you just really rely on your creativity. And where do you get the inspiration for your artwork, for your covers? If you could hold up one of your book covers again, because those are absolutely beautiful.
This one is probably my favorite, and I wanted to use real bits of mythology. So like that's actually over here. That's actually Mount Olympus. This over here is Prometheus, and this is Apollo statues. And I wanted unique teeth for the vampires, and I wanted to show it a little bit. And you can kind of see, but I think once you read the book, you'll realize she's a bit more fangy. The regular vampires in the series have very just regular one set of fangs, but she has several, being the goddess. And also I just kind of wanted to bring that to life, and I had a lot of fun making it.
So how did you come up with the concept for the goddess of vampires? This is not a traditional part of Greek mythology.
No, I just feel like the concept of Dracula is a little bit overplayed. And I do like to see women empowerment. And it's so fun that in this day and age, people are so accepting of that. And I thought, why can't she be a goddess? And, you know, I think if anybody who has read about Greek mythology or Norse or Egyptian mythology, all of which are touched on in here, is that gods aren't always pure sunlight and happy-go-lucky. And I just really wanted to bring a fierce female in that would take charge and just show everybody who's boss.
That's a very interesting concepts. I can't believe how much time flies. We are about halfway through the segment. One of the things that I wanted to mention is that my books, The Consummate Communicator, Character Traits of True Professionals, as well as The Project Manager, Life is a Project, are available free for Kindle download all day long. Today's January 20th, Inauguration Day. So if you're tired of watching the news and all that footage, please come check out some amazing authors, creative authors like Jenifer. Jenifer, super just amazing. And one of the things I want to point out is the life of the author, you know, is not always glamorous. It's not always book signings and everything else. So how do you manage your writing with your day job?
I drive for a living. So a lot of the time I spend that time on the road plotting things out in my head. And then when I get to my lunch period, I have about 30 minutes and I just put as much of it on paper as I can. I write on the weekends. I have an extra bedroom in my house. It's got a couch and a chair and a plant, and it's just very homey and comfortable. And I just go hide in there all weekend and just bust out as much of it out as I can. And like I said, Love and Betrayal, The Wars of Olympus took me about a year, but both of my other current novels that are available took me about 6 months each. And it just really takes me over. So I'm not quite sure how I manage it. I just squeeze in as much time for it as I possibly can. And I have another project I'm working on right now. So zombie fans, keep an eye out for that.
Oh, a little bit of a teaser. Can you tell us more?
It's a post-apocalyptic zombie world in which the coronavirus vaccine goes very, very badly. So
I'm not sure how I feel about that. Might be a little too close to reality, right?
I wanted to take a genre that I like because I love many different horror genres, and I wanted to take something that would hit people a little bit close to home and just really give them a good scare. And the movie 2012, when that one came out, and I think it was 2009, that one scared me because everybody was afraid of 2012. So I was like, well, this seems like something else that could definitely scare people. And I that's one of the boundaries that I want to push with myself, is going from just being really interesting and intense books to books that will actually frighten people. And zombies always frighten me. So I figured, hey, why not?
So, when your goal is to frighten people, what is it? What is it that you want to evoke? Is it because you feel that it's exhilarating, or what is the appeal to the audience?
I want it to be an exhilarating kind of fear. I'm a very big fan of Halloween. It's my favorite holiday, and I just always really like to be scared. So I want people who like to be scared to read it.
It's very interesting because of I spoke to one of the other authors earlier, and she resonated with me, and we're both kind of like the bright, sunshiny, happy, people. And my niece is very much her favorite Halloween holiday is Halloween. She loves to be scared, those kinds of things, and so it's great to talk to an author of something that I personally would probably not follow, but I can really understand the audience that you're trying to write to and the kind of people who this would really resonate with is and so I think the fact that you just shared like, oh, Halloween's my favorite holiday, it gives people an idea out there like, hey, if Halloween's your favorite holiday, maybe Jenifer Stewart books are books that you would be interested in.
Definitely. They've all got themes that Halloween is centered around, werewolves, vampires, zombies. I want to do ghosts at some point. Those horror has always been my favorite genre. So I just kind of want to take a piece of everything that I like and turn it into something of my own, and hopefully appeal to lots of other people who like the same things that I do. And that's one of my main things for my inspiration is I try to write books that I would love to read. So I hope that really resonates with the fans or any readers I might garnish.
That's pretty wonderful. And so, Jenifer, as a young author, what's your advice to people who might be young and might be afraid to just start writing?
I actually get that question from people quite often. And my biggest piece of advice is just do it. Just dive right in, let your imagination take control, and, edit. But when you're writing, don't worry about editing so much. Just let it flow out of you, because I find a lot of young writers find their mind kind of blocked up because they're too busy focusing on rereading to make sure that everything is, grammatically correct, that they lose the story somewhere, or they don't get something on paper fast enough. And I know I've had that happen to me before. So that would be one of my biggest pieces of advice is just push your boundaries, go for it, let your imagination take over, and write something that you would want to read.
No, I think that's a super good advice on writing what you would want to read, and also knowing who your core audience is. So I'm going to ask you a question, and one of the things is, as authors, we really expose ourselves out there to the world. What has your experience been with feedback? Have you had good feedback, bad feedback, and then how do you deal with that?
I'm sure it's coming very soon, but as of right now, I have yet to get a bad review. I haven't had anybody tell me that they didn't enjoy my story or they didn't enjoy my book. And that is, obviously it's a very, very good feeling, but I try to keep that in mind, that there will be people who don't like it, and that's okay too. I try not to let there be an inflation of my head. So at this point, how I deal with people telling me how much they loved it is I take it to heart that writing something that I want to read is really the best way to go.
No, I think that's so true. And so many of the authors that we've had today talk about write from your heart and just put it out there. And so you've been writing for how many years now?
Well, I started dabbling with just like putting my thoughts on paper as an early teen, and then I dabbled with fan fiction for many years. But from Where the Moon Howls, I wrote that 2017 to 2018, I want to say. So I've been doing it for a couple of years, and it's really the most fun that I have. Honestly, it's a big de-stressor, and it's the best way to put the day down and let it go, is to just lose yourself in your own imagination and have as much fun as you can.
Great. Jenifer, you really seem really positive. How do you keep so upbeat when there's so much right now in the world that seems to be filled with strife? And then how do you share that in your writing?
I think sometimes the best way to deal with the world is to forget about it a little bit and not ignore it per se, because I know so many people are out of work. They're struggling very, very much. And I'm lucky in the sense that I work in an auto store where I am considered essential. But I am not blind to what's going on around me. I just lost my great-grandmother to COVID a couple of months ago. And I think immersing yourself in something that you really love, in a genre that you really love, a book that you really love, is one of the best ways to deal with it, and look at something that you love. And then when you come back, you can come back to the world with fresh eyes and realize one of the biggest things that I tell myself whenever I'm having a difficult time is this too shall pass. And that's one thing that I want other people to do, is just remind themselves, you just got to breathe through it and not panic too much, because when people panic, that's when things get out of control.
No, and both writing and reading can be such a big escape. We do have a question from one of your fans about, do you do most of your own editing, or how do you get your editing done?
I actually do all of my own editing. I'm on a very tight budget, so I have not been able to pay anybody to do my covers or do my editing. So if you catch a couple of errors, go easy on me. I'm new.
No, definitely. And how can your fans reach you, Jenifer?
I have my Facebook page. I don't post personal things on there anymore, so it's all advertising and keeping people up to date with my promotions and interviews and things like that. And my inbox is always open to any readers who think they might enjoy my work or want to know further how to get a hold of it.
That's wonderful. I'm going to put a link to your Amazon here. This will get you into Amazon, where you can connect to Love and Betrayal, The Wars of Olympus, and that can connect you to the rest of Jenifer's books. I want to make sure that that's in the chat for people. And Jenifer, we are coming up to the end of this segment, and these segments just go by so super quickly. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we haven't had a chance to talk about yet?
Nothing off the top of my head. I feel like you've asked some really good questions, and I've really enjoyed answering them. And I feel like that's covered about most of it. I guess all I can say is, if you've read my books and you love them, thank you so much. And if you plan on reading them, thank you so much. Leave me a review on Amazon.
No, I think that's super important. And what I want to add to that is, you can see, like, there's authors here where they're published. There's authors like Jenifer who are truly independent and out there. And during a time like this of COVID, the ability of doing an event of 24 authors in 12 hours, it's authors helping each other. It's an international book festival. So please check out Jenifer's books. Take some time. And one of the most important things you can do for any author is to leave a review. So if you like Jenifer's work, please send her a review, and you can reach out to her. Her Facebook page is scrolling across the stream. Is there anything else, Jenifer?
I've just been so excited to be here and get a chance to actually talk about my books on such a large platform. My Facebook reach is pretty small through my own personal page. I'm on many of the self-published author pages, Kindle book pages, things like that. I will be setting up an Instagram soon, but right now there's not a lot going on. So it's been very exciting to be able to talk about it to somebody other than just my coworkers and my family who have heard about it to death. So I'm just so thankful for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Jenifer, I just want to thank you, and helping out young aspiring author. I mean, it definitely warms my heart. And when people say, how do you have the energy to interview 24 authors? It's a moment like this where you just say, how could I not get the energy to do this? So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day and enjoy the rest of your work day. I know that you're in your boss's office, so it's super terrific. Make sure that you thank him or her as well.
I will. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching.